play. All right, cool beans. Everything should be rolling. Okay, we're good. We got the music. You guys can hear me. Yada 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 yada. All right, guys. So welcome back to another comic book page layout for me. The music you hear in the background is complimentary from StreamBeats.com. Really, really nice. They are not my sponsor, but they do allow me to play their music copyright free. So I always like to give kudos where kudos is given. This is the StreamBeats Lo-Fi version. So yes, yes, yes. So, as you guys know that I've been working on my own comic book, I will do my best to pay attention to the chat at the same time that I'm drawing on this. There is my microphone right here. There's my camera right there. All right. And yes, 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 computer, you're trying to tell me about ads. Abso-freaking-lutely. And I'll do my best to pay attention to the chat. Now, I will have to tell you guys, I did have to put, unfortunately, only followers can pretty much comment. I got spammed to death a little while ago. So this is how I've been able to control it. Otherwise, they just keep coming. And it is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. All right, so right now, I am currently in book 6. I've made it quite a bit of way since last time. Let me tell you about my super fancy art supplies I got going on here. The most latest of great value packaging technology I got going on here. I know, even at this age, I still use the great value bags. So I have a sharpener. I have a vinyl eraser. I love using these. Then I have 2 types of metal rulers or resin ruler. I got a basic one from back to school. 25 cents. And then these right here, these are a good investment. They are your metallic ruler with a cork back. And these are worth their weight in gold. I have about 3 of these. I refuse to lend them out because they never come back. So I got a 12-inch and I believe 2-inch and a 2-foot one as well. They're just somewhere in this room somewhere. I gotta find them. All right. So right now, I am at this point in this page. I want to do this one because a lot of people like to do these like very, very dynamic, how do you say it, dynamic sequences, and that's okay, but sometimes you're going to have some pretty boring shots where there's people talking and there's not a lot going on. And you need the talking points so that way you can get the story. You're not going to get that all the time. So this time around, I am on page 12 out of book 6. As I told you guys, this is a 12-page progress. As you can see, I try to thumbnail everything ahead of time. So first thing you want to do before you do anything else, is the first time joining me, I always tell people, always read the script first. Read the script first. I cannot emphasize this anymore. You have to read the script first so that way you understand how to lay it out and how to get the flow going. That also affects how you do your paneling. If it's a very like action intense, you would know because the panels would give that extra oomph to the story. If it's one of those like kind of just talking like a slice of life kind of story, then you might want to have more passive panels. So it just depends on what you are going for. Okay, so it's one of those things that I always like to tell people, just to read the script, read the script, read the script. The other thing you normally need is have the character sheets already set up for you. Sometimes you're given this, sometimes you don't, and if you don't have one, just make one for yourself. As for me, I created this character. He's mine. When I made him, it was a joke. So yeah, his character sheet is like in my head. Along with some of the other characters, and sometimes I have to go back in through the book and make sure that I'm keeping some of the details consistent, because they got like tattoos and piercings and they're located in specific locations. All right, hence why you want to have a character sheet. Okay, so right here, the first thing I'm going to look at is what's going on. So this is a continuation of a conversation happening in the previous page. So let me get that one real quick. Let me pull that up. So my character Lou, this is the previous page. So my character Lou is in the middle of kind of doing a briefing with some of the other characters. Hold on, let me block this out. I'm still working on the light. There we go. Okay. So she's in the middle of a briefing with some of the other characters. So she is right here. She's talking. Obviously, she's looking at some like holographic computer. At this point, there's only 3 characters. The more characters you have on the shot, it gets a little more trickier to set up. You just have to keep in mind where your characters are located in the scene. So in this case, V is usually like either behind her to the left, so I try to keep him in that location, even though he might be behind here. And then Ralph is right across from both of them, so he is the third party. So just like I talked about before, there's always a lot of panel flow. You start on this in our demographic here, or our hemisphere, we read from left to right. So it starts here. We're gonna have some dialogue here. The hand leads you up to the dialogue regardless, and then from there you move forward to a dialogue that's gonna be here. She's talking, and she's gonna lead you down. And if you look at V, he leads you to her, and it continues to lead you down. Ralph right here continues. He just kind of leads me to the next panel. You're going to have the dialogue here. You're going to see some of the surroundings. Now, I keep my surroundings very plain because I'm pretty much doing this book completely by myself except for the lettering. I'm hiring a friend to help me do that. But I usually like to keep my backgrounds very simple because I don't want my audience to... the background is not the focus. My characters are and what they're saying is. So right here, there's a dome. I'm gonna replace this with a 3D graphic. I'm gonna make a little bit later, and I do kind of multimedia. I have been retraining myself in 3D, so it's something that I want to try to implement into my illustrations. It's something that's become very popular, and I'm noticing the demand in it more and more in illustrators these days. And then right here, this continues down. So you can see she's talking. There's like this little monitor. This will be replaced later on by a graphic online. And then here's 3 locations that she's pointed out in her brief. So this is her continuing in the next page. So let me put this away before the cats put their paws on it. I haven't had a chance to look at it. So this is a 3-panel page. And that's because there's some dialogue going on. So there's a couple ways I could divide this. All right, and the first one, she's continuing to talk and it's still a focus on her hand. Sorry, there's like kitty fur all over the place. It has been insanely hot. It's been tipping close to about 100 degrees around here. And that's pre-humidity, so it's been around like 97. When the humidity has definitely been a little bit hotter than that. All right now I'm just going to use the markers on my sheet. And I've been using about 1/8 of an inch for my gutters. I've changed it a little bit. And like I said, with this comic book, I really don't care. This is my personal creation. I'm not doing this for a client. So I'm experimenting. And that's the best part about doing your own stuff. So let's see what's happening in the next panel. Or listen intently and look at the map. Okay, so at this point in the panel, all three of the characters are looking at the map. So I can make this wide, or I can continue down here. So I can do 1, 2, 3. And sometimes when I thumbnail, I change my idea of how this is gonna look. So right here, I decided to change it instead of all 3 characters looking, which we have this repeated over and over. This is probably gonna be more of a CG graphic. So you're just gonna see me do a placeholder saying CG graphic. And that is fine. That is fine. Like a lot of people don't realize, people cheat a lot of stuff on comics sometimes, especially when you have a lot of fast deadlines. You don't have the opportunity and you're like a one-man army. You just kind of try to find shortcuts. And I know some people frown upon that, but I used to work at the studios in my earlier career, and my boss said it best. At the end of the day, the client doesn't care how you did it, as long as you turn it in on time and you got it done. And I'm like, you know what? That stuck with me to today. So even for backgrounds, I sometimes use references, or I do a little bit of matte painting, or I go ahead and I splice a couple images together and I give it a treatment, or I trace over it, because again, it's just a background. It's a necessary asset, but it's not the focus, and it's just there as a filler. So yeah, if you want to frown upon that, go ahead. I really don't care. All right, so in this case, we're gonna go with our extreme angle. So it is kind of like around the table. The graphic that she is looking at is going to be around here. I need to leave room for the dialogue. You always got to plan for the dialogue. Now right here, I have my trim. This is my drawing. So this is my bleed area. This right here is around my trim area, and this right here is my action save area. So right here, there's still that screen that she is talking about. I'm going to go a little bit higher, but then my content's going to be right around here. And a lot of this is going to be added later on once I move over to Photoshop. I'm going to add some more of the finer details. This is just to get the basic drawing laid out. And it's okay if you don't draw everything. I mean, I love traditional. It gives me a much better feel for the paper. And my brain works faster that way. So right now I'm just kind of doing like a basic screen. Again, this is going to be modified later. The only thing I do need to draw is Helen. Helen's going to be right here. And then character B, character C, character D. And then all the bio stuff, I'm going to add this later. And I'm going to refine this shortly, right? I'm just doing some quick blocking. I'm not that worried about it. And she is continuing to type. She's got like one of those like very nice, even though this is the future, some people still kept up with some of the technology. So she's got one of those projected keyboards. So what we're going to see is from underneath, just to make it look like we're right there with the group. So it's her hand. If my hand is down typing, my camera will be right around here looking up in this direction. So it's like a little kid looking from the corner. And it's funny, like a lot of people, it's kind of, typing is something that if you actually look at somebody type, it's a really elaborate movement. And I know we gotten used to like, you know, like I love Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I saw that, and the way they type is that the character went like this. And it cracked me up so hard because you have 14 digits in your hand. So instead of them just showing every single one of those moving, they just simply smacked the hand on the keyboard and they got away with it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even mad. I ain't even mad. That was hilarious because it was a really cartoonish series or movie. And the second one was just as good. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball. The first one was better. The second one was pretty good too. All right, and right here, this is the second hand because her hands don't tend to be too apart from each other. All right. Now she does have a series of tattoos. Most of the details, you see them on the front, on the top of the hand right here in the forearm. But in the lower arm, it's just going to look like 6 bands. So this right here, that's 1. And I'm going to go back in. I'm going to refine this. That's 2. And notice that I'm still following the contour. 3, 4, 5. And if you've seen some of the early illustrations that I made, I pretty much tend to you saw the tattoo being revealed. There's some definition for that, but I won't tell you until you read the comic. Whenever I decide to publish it, which is probably going to be towards the end of 2022. And I hate to sound negative, but I'm assuming with the way the COVID's respreading again, I'm probably going to have a lot of spare time here coming up here in the near future. Being quarantined again at the house, just like everybody else. Woohoo! I got good internet, I got food, and I got snackies. I'll be okay. So I'll be able to do my job and work on this at the same time. Alright, so right here, there's panel 1, which is what I got going on over here. Okay, now panel 2, it's going to be a map. So for right now, the way that I have been indicating this is I have a giant table, and I'm just going to draw, and I know this looks really cheap by saying this, but again, this is all about creating this. So for me, I'm actually timing myself in the past, and I'm going to write graphic because this is going to be replaced later on, and you're going to see the graphic of the buildings and stuff like this. That's going to be in 3D, but the table is still going to be there, and I'm just going to draw part of the screen here, and then you're going to see maybe parts of Lou, a little bit of V, and maybe a little bit of, and it's going to be cut off, so I got to be careful. And even Ralph's going to be difficult. So Ralph, I just want to make it feel like we're in the room standing with them. Okay, so right now it's going to be like an over the shoulder for Ralph. There's his deltoid, bicep, tricep, shoulder, head, ponytail, blah, blah, blah. All right, and even this I might modify later once I go into digital. All right, now here at the bottom, so right now in this shot, you see there's going to be the graphic here. It's going to be in the foreground, and you're going to be seeing Lou. It's going to be a low angle. So the vanishing point is going to be up here. and you're gonna see her explaining, so it gives it a more dynamic look and make it fun. Like I said, this is what the best part about working on your own projects. It don't matter, just have fun. Okay, she's kind of well endowed, just like me, because she's based off from me, so she's got some kasangas. In this case, she has this famous stance where she just kind of puts her hand on her hip. Okay, now I also got to keep in mind where the height of the table is. So for most people, if you stand up, and I'm going to stand up right here in front of my table, the table, on average, it comes around like just above your knee. So that way when you sit down, it's like about, at the most would be like halfway to your thigh. But it's pretty much just like about 6, 7, 8 inches above your knee in most people. So I'm making sure I'm tracking this. And I gotta leave room for the dialogue as well. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Now this might be a little shorter than normal, guys, because this is only 3 panels, so there's nothing too crazy. Alright, so from here I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start cleaning this out. And again, sometimes these pages take me a long time. Sometimes they don't, because a lot of it is going to be done in color or in digital. This is one of those not very exciting pages, but it's necessary to carry the story. When I'm thinking of the hand as digits, this knuckle right there. I said, I pay attention to like the strangest things sometimes. And this book gives me a good excuse to practice hands. My hands can get really wonky sometimes. I'll be the first one to admit it. But when you type, it's really weird because your hand kind of does this. So as you're typing, each finger might be in like in a lower, yeah, it's kind of like seeing a piano player. And if you've seen that movie, what's it, Soul? They did a fantastic job because you see him playing the piano and he's actually playing the keys. So somebody there at Pixar took footage of the piano player and just sat there and observed how each one of the fingers moved. It's those minute details that people miss sometimes and why sometimes it takes so long. But when you really sit there and you observe, you're like, oh wow, they actually took the time to put that in there, you know. Most people wouldn't get it, but someone who plays the piano, they're like, yo. It's the amount of detail that people miss. Like, they don't appreciate the amount of detail that goes into creating these films. And I mean, for me, what blows me away is how fast they're doing a turnaround. When I started doing animation, I graduated in 2004 from animation school. At the time, I was already about a year in the industry. I was volunteering my time to get experience locally back in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. And yeah, I mean, the turnaround went from a couple years, and from there it went back down to just like a few, like a year and a half. And you know, a lot of stuff has become automated since then. They got a lot of pre-coded tools. Like I remember when curly hair was really difficult to do, and the first time it was debut was in Over the Hedge. There was an incidental character. It was a black lady, and she hit the possum character, and she got out of the car, and she had curly hair. And I just about dropped my popcorn when I was in the theater. No one else understood. But, like, I was like, wow, they finally got the hair curly feature to work. And it didn't seem to have broken their computer. So, yeah. Okay, I gotta make sure I don't accidentally end up with a tangent line. I signed up with a tangent line, just kidding. And this back here is going to be a little bit more in shadow. And since the light source is coming from the table, it's going to be more in that direction. So part of this. And I don't want to add too many details with the shadows because I tend to do it a lot with color. But this is just kind of give me an indication where this is going to be once I move into Adobe for the digital coloring. Yes, I do use Adobe. I know there's a lot of other different software like GIMP and all these other ones. This just seems to be like a new one every day. I just kind of was stuck to the big boy software because when you go into industry, that's what everybody expects you to use. Let me clean that out a little bit more. Alright, so for this one, I don't need the big ruler. There we go. The smaller ruler comes handy. So, first things first. Just to kind of give me like a starting point. And I'm just doing this really quick. Like I said, most of this is going to be done digitally later. I am leaving space for dialogue right here. And it's okay if you get off the page. A lot of people, when they first start drawing, they try to cramp everything in the page, and that's like, no, dude. If it stays within the proportions, then let it go past the page, because otherwise it's gonna look scrunched in, and it's gonna look bad, and you don't want that. So if it has to go past the page, so let it go past the page. Now, obviously, you don't want your main action to get cut off, but you know what I mean. So right now, it just looks like a glass piece of glass cereal box thing. Boop. Man, it's gotta be roasting outside because I got 2 fans on me and I still feel warm. But I also had to put the AC up because I am not paying a $300 power bill. The hell with that. Just keep my house cool. Hell no. Let me grab a quick swig right here. Ha. Alright. This is just to kind of give this some girth. Like I said, a lot of these virtual graphics I'm going to fix. I'll fix it in post. Oh, yeah. Right now what I'm doing is just lining things up. Sorry, I didn't mean to get my big old noggin in the shot. And I'll type some stuff there when I go into Photoshop. Slant it. And you can get precise at this point, right? I'm just trying to just block it out. Say once I go into Photoshop, I can draw it a more refined version of this. Sorry, I'm not saying much right now. I'm just trying to draw some boxes. Oops, come here. Oh, it feels like the light's getting brighter. Give me a second, guys. The sun's starting to come up. Yeah, let's try that. There you go. It was a little more visible. there. I like to use a lot of natural light, save the environment, because, global warming's not real. Uh, no, but I mainly do it for, obviously, environmental reasons, but also for cost efficiency. I come from Puerto Rico, and I grew up there in the 80s, where we used to have a huge garbage problem. I don't know about now. I haven't been there in like 30 years. I have visited, and it still looks like a dump sometimes. It just depends on which side of the island you go. If you stay in the tourist area, it looks nice. They definitely fixed that up, but the rest of the island is still a little rough, in my opinion. So again, right here, I'm not getting too into the weeds, because what's going to happen is when I go into Photoshop, I'm going to type some googly boop. But this is going to be some type content. It'll probably be the bio for the character or some of their experience. And I go that into detail because, again, I don't really have a timeline on this. But I am giving myself a timeline. I should have all 7 books drawn by the end of this year. That is a personal deadline. And then all of 2022, again, I plan just to continue coloring the book, and then I'll pass it on to my friend for lettering. It should not take very long. Lettering doesn't take very long if you're very wise and smart about how you tackle your panels and you have good communication with your letterer, which I do. My letterer is amazing. I'd say he works for a pretty big company. I can't say who because I don't want to bring him unwanted attention. But I've known this cat for like almost 20 years now. Okay, so right now I'm going to have character A, character B. I'm going to draw those little lines right there indicating movement. Okay, and then right here you have Helen. I'm going to call this guy Marco Polo. No, just kidding. Ruben, like the sandwich. And then, what should I call the last guy? Bobby. No coincidence why they all have 5-letter names. None. Wink. And right here, I'm going to be drawing the portraits. And for these little finer details, let me push the camera in a little bit. Give me a second. Boop. There we go. Make sure my tip doesn't break. Alright, so I have to draw Helen. And have you ever seen any friends that got... Yes, computer. I don't know why. They take very serious photos. Like, I get it. You're supposed to look pretty badass, but, smile. Smile for me. Yep, there goes the tip. And again, in some of these, when I'm drawing this tiny, what I do is that I'll just put a placeholder, and then when I go in digital, I really fix it up so it looks really nice. But for right now, it's just a placeholder. Sometimes I redraw it on the computer. And she's got a couple scars. And again, the reason why you don't see me using a character sheet is because I created these characters, so I know what they look like. And even then, I still backpedal to make sure I kept consistency all the way through. By the way, so yesterday I watched, what's it called? Troll Hunter Titans. I was very pleased. They did a really good job closing a lot of the story down. I was, or at least a lot of the characters. I was very thrilled. They did a good job, just because there's 3 series. You have the original Troll Hunter, and then you have the Five Below, and then you got. By the way, the Troll Hunter, the first one is a really long series. It's a couple seasons, and then you go into what's the one? The one for Eternia. Let me find some incidental characters. Okay, so then you go into Five Below, which is with the alien kids, and then there's one more series after that, which is involving a magician that lives in the town, and they did a really good job. They really did. And that the movie just kind of finally snapped all these characters together in this universe, and I really enjoyed it. It was 2 hours, and it closed a lot of stuff, and then it also left room to. It was nice and tight the way they closed it. But if they wanted to, they could kind of start a new series. But they just kind of left it at that, which is it's a good ending. It's nice and solid, and you can they can go back in and revisit it later on or not. But I think they did a really good job. So, and then I started watching one. It's called Centarpolis. Let me see what it's called. Hold on. It's on Netflix. Centaur. God, what's the name of the series? Peacock. Centaur World. That's what it was. Centaur World. And the intro is really, really nicely done. The character reminds me a little bit of Korra from The Legend of Korra, which some people might cringe a little bit because some people just did not like what they did with her. Like, she had a good start and then it went down to poop, at least according to some folks. But you most definitely need to be under the influence of something to watch it, because I was watching and I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'll leave it at that. Not bad, not good, but it reminds me of a little bit of the earlier days of Adventure Time, where people were watching and like, what on earth is this? And yeah. Alright, so yeah, so that was interesting. And then I'm watching an anime with some firefighter series. That one's pretty interesting, where they fight people that burst into flames, into demons. I just randomly picked it out of Hulu. Seems pretty good. I love watching different shows, different type of animation. I mainly like the Japanese animation, not for the style, but because I like how they do some of the really dynamic fighting sequences. I love looking at the frame rate and then how they approach those really, really complicated mid-air fights. And yeah. Okay, this guy's got some armor. Hey, Bobby. Bobby's got like straight up armor. Like I said, I might change those guys a little bit later. And then back here is pretty much going to be the graphic. I know it's going to be cheap, but again, this is going to be a 3D model I'll be able to kind of reuse a couple times. So that's why not to worry about it right now. It's just kind of be just something that I punch in there. And it's going to look really nice. When I switch to digital painting, you'll see what I mean. I need to like model this out and figure out. First of all, I need to lay out the building, and then I have to model it, and then I have to be able to bring it in. So it's going to be several steps. And then back here is just nonsense. There's going to be dialogue that's going to be backdrop. Okay, and then from here, we're now looking at it from, let's see, Ralph V are listening intently and they're looking at the map. Then I decided on the close-up of the map. So it's just mainly going to be the map being highlighted. So I might just switch my mind and having them in the shot. And like I said, this page is not going to be very exciting, guys. I just really, by streaming, it really forces me to work on stuff. I've been really very busy recently, so I slowed down a little bit, not because I wanted to. It's just sometimes you get home from work and you're just dead tired. You have no inspiration to draw or work on anything new. You're just kind of done. So let's see what I want to do down here. Okay, so I'm probably gonna mainly move this out of the way. Okay. Alright, so do I want to go from super close up? Maybe. What do I want to do here? Blank. Okay, so I'm probably gonna do, just for indication for me, is it gonna be approaching like a castle type building, and there's gonna be several stories. This is gonna be colored a different color. As I said, this page is not gonna be the most craziest thing you've ever seen, and I'm cool with that. And right here, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have the dialogue to the side. Okay, I know what to do. Okay, so it's gonna have the main office, and it's gonna have some pop-up. Like information appear over it. So it's gonna have like several, it's gonna be like see-through. You're gonna see the main points, key points highlighted. Alright, and sometimes, like I said, it won't be great. But you guys are seeing my brainstorm process. Yeah, so you're gonna see Lou talking off panel. In building. Opening. And sometimes some of the stuff I flesh out a little more later on. I don't get it all up front, and that's okay. A very dry throat today. Need to drink more agua. It's gonna have like different talking points, and then her dialogue's gonna go right here. And I'm gonna put a 3D graphic highlight building. I can spell, I promise. Nah, not really. Okay, this is gonna be pop-up info. So most of this panel right here is gonna be done mainly digital, but this gives me an idea what to put here. I'm just gonna put this right here. Dialogue. And normally I don't put the dialogue in here, but when I come back later, I'm gonna be like, what the hell was I doing here? And then that way I have my notes sitting right in here as well. Check the humidity in here. It's awfully warm for some reason. Let me see what the temperature outside is. Let's see, according to this, it is 84. 84, really? Okay, what's the humidity in here? Okay, it is upstairs. 63% humid. No wonder I'm dying in here. Alright, give me a second. Let me get my fan closer. Much cooler. Okay. Alright, so now that we have that, we've already, for the most part, determined this is going to be the external graphic just for continuity purposes. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Same thing, this graphic's going to be used here and here. Like I said, at the end of the day, people don't care how you get there. And it's funny because I see it a lot in comics where people are like, oh, this art is amazing. I'm sitting there, it's like they traced this. And I know that they're like, yes, they did. I can see the line art. Right here is going to be the graphic from up here. It's going to be backwards in here. So once this is done, I'll be able to punch that out and recycle it down here. So, I'm drawing down here off camera, sorry, my bad. So it's just pretty much me down here. Like I said, it feels like a cheap cop-out, but again, when you're doing 7 books by yourself, you have to kind of learn how to be economical, because otherwise you'll never finish. And so being a content creator, sometimes it's like a fine balance. Sometimes people are pretty understanding why it takes you a little longer than normal, but sometimes others don't understand. This is why I don't do like, oh, you know, I don't put stuff in increments because people get antsy. I do have other things. That's why I refuse to finish putting out this book until I'm completely done with it. So that way I can focus on the marketing. So right now I'm working on the production, then I can focus on the marketing. And while I'm doing that, I can start developing the next story after it. So by the time that I'm done pushing that one, I can start working the next series. And then the story, and then the cycle continues. Okay, right now I am determining. She's a well-endowed lady. She is not tiny. She's got boobage. Because I got boobage. Yeah, she is definitely not a delicate desert flower for sure. I think that angle might be too crazy. Alright, let's try this again. This is why I love these. It's easy on the paper. And you won't do any crazy damage. Alright, so let's try this one more time. This time, let's see. I have her standing here with her arms kind of to the side. Maybe instead I should kind of have it, because she's kind of addressing the entire room. So, again, change my mind. This will happen, guys. This will happen. I assure you. Okay, so, alright, so I'm gonna have her looking to the side. It's gonna look like a triangle, circle, oval. You have the neckline. From here, got her chest. Then you have her bust. Then her arms coming down. From here. There we go. So it's sitting on her waist. It's coming down. So we're seeing more of her hippage. She's got hip for days, bro. Hip for days. And it's coming kind of right at us. Okay. Sorry, I had one of my students text me real quick. Question about their homework. Alright. Greens. And then V's a little taller than her. I could put him back here. Kind of looking down. Observing. Because he is behind her. This is what was in the previous page. Okay, referring to that. Alright. Give me a second. Let's see if I can pull this off. I'm gonna get some fresh air. Ah, much better. Woof. I'm sweating up a storm. So hopefully that won't, not too much wind over the microphone. It's just that I'm very warm. Okay, so there's her hair. Going, move this up a little bit. Going behind her ear, and then it's drooping down. Going around her bust. It's going around here. Again, coming down, going around her bust. And then this hair's going back there. So that gives me a really good starting point. Alright. Alright, let me keep going. Hold on one second. My phone's blowing up. Why is my phone blowing up? Boop. It's always when I'm not doing something. So right here, let's go ahead and continue. Alright, let's go from there. I said people text me when I'm working. It's the way it is. When I'm not busy, no one calls me. Then when I'm in the middle of something, everybody and their mother calls me. It's like, really? Really? Okay. That's how it is. Gotcha. Okay, so from here, I'm going to draw her talking. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out how to draw this from this low angle. So in my mind, I'm keeping track of her bone structure. It's kind of hard to explain everything that my mind is tracking right now. but I got the character design on my head, and right now I'm just trying to get the angle right. And these low angles can be a pain sometimes. Even I get them messed up here and there. So in this case, it's a low view. There's her hairline. It's gonna come back down. Her ear is right around here. She's got an earring. It's gonna come behind the ear down here. There. Okay, now I gotta keep in mind where her bust is gonna be, because that's gonna give me the surface. Hair is very flexible, so it's gonna follow what the contour of the surface that is laying on. Right now, definitely to do some cleanup there. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Yes, she is quite busty, but she is not a very petite woman. So just like myself, I am not a very petite woman. Her character is based off from me, so that's why I use myself as a reference all the time. Again, my phone keeps blowing up. My apologies. Okay. Okay. So right here will be the opening of her shirt. Okay, so from there, she might not. So I finally saw the new Masters of the Universe. You cannot call it He-Man. I'm not gonna give you any spoilers because I want you to watch it on your own. But I am gonna say Eternia has some of the best gyms I have ever seen. Every woman there can easily bench 250. Like no joke, all the women are jacked, and I'm like, holy crap. So I know they're like warriors and stuff, but it's like, good lord. Like when I tell you they're jacked, they're jacked. You'll see by the second episode, you're like, good lord. Okay, her hand's a little meh at the moment. It's that whole hands going there. So you got, so it's coming up, it's coming down, it's going back over here, and then you have the side palm, then there's the actual palm there. And like I said, this is why I do this, to force myself to draw more hands. And I gotta make sure it contours around the waist. Gotta be careful with the fingers, because most people's hands, center finger is longer, and then this one starts receding back. Then you also have the indentations there, and I'll go back a couple times. It's not the end of the world. And I'll put the creases there. So she's kind of putting her hand to the side. And even this fold right here, there we go. That's what was wrong. It's kind of like a weird fold right here. And I'll play with this a little bit more later. Say today it's more of a Anna, even if you're tired, you gotta work on your book kind of day. And sometimes I do go back like digitally and I fix a lot of this. I'm like, ugh, God, what was I thinking at the time? Hey, what's up, Gun Bunny? Yeah, just you saw I almost got close to finishing what's called Children of Morta. Got pretty close. Oh wait, what? You're talking about the Eternia, the new He-Man series? Oh, Eternia let us say Uncovered or whatever, Unleash. Yeah, that hand looks kind of crazy. But that's okay though. Yeah, she is super jacked. Okay. There's 2 sets of these. Yeah, all the women look really jacked, dude. If you watch the new He-Man, you'll see what I mean. You see what I mean. You'll also find out why all the fanboys are losing their crap. Like, within the first episode, they already killed most of their fan base. So, yeah, that hand looks weird, but I'm sticking to it right now. I'm hot, and sometimes this to me is more like an endurance. Sometimes the worst thing for an artist to do, and we all go through it, is that you have to force yourself to draw even when you don't want to. And I was a freelancer for a really long time. There were some days that my body just did not want to do it, and I still had to. Because if I missed out on the opportunity, I didn't know where I was going to get my next gig. So I had to kind of make sure that I did stuff that I need to do. I think, if you haven't seen the new He-Man? Okay. Were you a big fan of the original He-Man? By any chance? No spoilers? Okay. So you know, it's not the He-Man that you expect. They Netflixed it, and that's all I'm gonna say. So I did not hate it, but I can see why everybody else hated it. So, yeah. So I personally didn't mind it. I thought it was interesting. But they did Netflix it. So if you hate things that get Netflixed it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you. Alright, so right here, I'm trying to do this finger. Oh god, that finger looks terrible. Ugh. Oh man, I am having an off day. Woo, look at this dingy, these crappy hands. Good lord. Yeah, we all have those days, guys. I ain't gonna lie, we all have them. Technically, this muscle for the thumb is more dominant. Then you have the muscle here, the line there, and it comes up. Oof. These hands are to be they need some surgery stat. She's doing like some jacked up Spock. You'll see it today? Yeah, you know, I'll check it out if I were you. You know, I'll check it out if I were you. It's not that bad. Let's see. Alright, so here she is, she's standing there. Like I said, guys, this page won't be very exciting. There's a lot of explanation going on here. Pretty much they're working on their plan of action before they go into the main event, so that's what's happening right here and the previous page. And then right here you're gonna have V in the background. This right here, again, 3D graphic. And I'm sticking with it because it's a building. I don't want to redraw this building like 50 gajillion times. There's V in the background. Yeah, and I'll probably be wrapping this up here shortly, guys, because I am sweating my ass off. For whatever reason, my office is extremely warm. From here, okay, so most of this is going to be covered with a graphic down here. So I'm just going to draw the top of V. Now she is at an angle, so even him needs to be worked on a little bit. Man, I'm hot. Holy crap, I'm hot. What the hell? Maybe I just need to drink more water. Yeah, and I'm from Florida and the Caribbean, so if I'm telling you I'm hot, it's gotta be hot in here. Woof. In the background. Just looking at the map attentively. I eventually need to get myself, they sell the color, like the color pencils, but like for mechanical pencils. Because especially for comics, that comes really in handy. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's on my Amazon's wish list. I'll eventually grab it. Maybe for my birthday I'll get myself that. Treat yourself. Art supplies. So he's just attentively listening. He's not really engaging. But he is in the background, so I have to make sure he doesn't disappear. Got 2 earrings. She actually has 2 earrings and one out here as well. Trying to keep that consistent. And he does have a gold chain. And again, sometimes, guys, I just kind of block out the page, and then eventually when I'm a little bit more energetic, I go back in and I do some fixes. This does happen. Not everybody has their A game every day, just being straight honest. Okay, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, tattoos, and then she's got a necklace with a bead on it. Trying to keep everything consistent. Oof. You know, I just realized when I'm sweating, I put in a little bit of a pre-workout on my drink because I get really exhausted some days and I just kind of needed like a jolt, and it probably has stuff in there that makes you sweat. That might explain how come I'm sweating at 80 degrees. I just gotta go back in and look. I just bought brand new BCAAs, and I bought new pre-workout because the one that I wanted wasn't available at the time. So I'm pretty sure that's probably it. Okay, so he's looking down again. Most of this is going to be covered with a graphic. Same thing right here, just going to be built up, so I'm not going to be too worried about this yet. And then for the background, I'm simply going to draw a line that as we're reading through here, it's still going to lead you back to the character. And it's going to be a little lower. Oof. Continues back here. There he goes to there. Alright. And it's going to be an old building, so it's going to have cracks on the roof. And again, there's a few more details in the background. But since most of it's going to be covered with a graphic, I'm not that worried about it. And again, like I said, this is going to be one of the probably least interesting pages that I'm working on. It's just, not every page is going to be a big action-packed page. But I did want to kind of show you guys, the reason why I want to do this, because I wanted to show you how you can blend in your hand-drawn, and then how you can do planning to use graphic assets to expedite your process. So if you guys ever see me working on these, if you check out my previous one, I was drawing for almost 3 hours on a single page. But in pages like here, where there's like reusable assets such as this 3D graphic right here, I simply plan the angle that I want. I don't invest too much time into it, so the way I can keep going through the book, and then I can get my main things that I want to get drawn down, and then this will later have a plugin in here, a style, and it will go in here. I'll be lurking, my friend, going to be a bit busy. Me too. I'm getting ready to hop off. Like I said, this is just going to be a shorty for today. I just kind of needed to get myself drawing again because it's been a really crazy week. And I'm just drawing some random cracks. And a lot of this, guys, I'm going to create some planes in Photoshop. And I'm going to create planes for each one of the walls. And then I'm just going to free transform it so it stays consistent throughout the whole thing. Again, using my tools to my advantage. Some people call it cheating. I call it efficiency, especially if I'm doing everything on my own. Okay, so it happens, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not. There's a lot of music videos and projects that you see that they reuse all these techniques for their backgrounds and stuff. Just people are not aware of it. Especially when you're on a budget, you just don't have the luxury to sit there and hand draw everything. So. But with that, guys, I'm pretty much done for the day. Like I said, this page was probably my least interesting page. But like I said, I just wanted to talk about how draw the main assets, plan your stuff. As you can see, as I was talking, I was like, this is going to be fixed digitally. I'm going to reuse this asset down here for this frame because it's the same screen. It's just inverted. I'm going to be implementing the 3D graphic that I'm going to create. This loose based off from me. And then I'm going to create a 3D graphic probably in SketchUp, and I'm going to plug that back here with like a filter. Same thing's going to be here. It's going to be a focus, and I'm going to digitally add different like pop-up tags on it, and then I'm going to have it again down here. So it's not just about drawing everything. Sometimes you can just kind of use external elements to make your page look more interesting and give it a unique look. And again, because this is my own personal project, I can experiment with it. So that is the best part of this whole experience. But anyway, guys, with that, I am done for today. This is as far as I'm going to go on this page. The next one should have more stuff on it. But it's been a little while since I've done it, and I thought this was a really unique topic. And in the future, when I get to this page and I have my asset created, I'll show you guys what I mean, and I'll definitely revisit this page later on. But anyway, guys, I'll talk to you later. Thank you for spending time with me, and I'll see you soon.